Cruise news time. Well, interesting stories today, challenging stories today, really. We've got a popular cruise destination that's dropping its health protocols, which is cause for celebration. However, they may not be dropping the fee to get into the country, which may not be cause for celebration. We have another 2 locations dropping their health protocols. We also have an update on Hurricane Ian as it made landfall in South Carolina, what impacts it had on cruise terminals. And there's a story that's been around for about a week. There was a cruise comedian fired for using a racial slur. And well, we got to talk about that. Cruise news and my views. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news and my views for your face. It's the first show of October. It is October the 2nd, a Sunday, 2022. Very glad to have you here. Welcome to a new month, and we do have a pile of cruise news. Cruise news story number 1 deals with Bermuda. Bermuda, a popular travel destination, and Bermuda, one of the last travel destinations holding out with their health protocols. It's been a point of frustration for travelers to Bermuda. It's been a point of frustration for cruise lines. We even saw a couple weeks ago a couple cruise lines deciding not to go to Bermuda because of these travel restrictions. And basically the way that it works is you have to have a travel authorization form to get into Bermuda, and you have to prove things like having a negative COVID test, and then another test a few days later. You have to be vaccinated. The good news is those things are going away. It's going to be in a phased approach. Those things are going away, but the thing that may not be going away, that travel authorization form came with a $40 fee. The one thing that may not be going away is the fee. So this begins to happen on October the 25th. From October the 25th, the requirement for pre-arrival and pre-departure testing, arrival testing, and day 4 testing for travelers will be dropped. The requirement for unvaccinated visitors to provide proof of health insurance, which covers COVID medical expenses, will remain. All mask mandates and border controls related to COVID-19 will end on November the 30th. So you have the big major protocols dropping on the 25th of October, and then you have the final masking protocols dropping on November the 30th. Now, they haven't decided yet what new plan they're going to put in place, but they are having the conversation whether to keep some sort of form, some sort of visa-type form as a requirement to get into Bermuda. And you may be asking, well, why did they do that? Well, this $40 per person per traveler became a huge source of revenue for Bermuda. How big you're asking? They $22 million in the last year based off of people paying the entry fee to get into Bermuda. And they see this as a win. They see this as a big booster to their economy. And so you can imagine people that are in charge of budgets, in charge of government, that kind of thing, all of a sudden saying, okay, we're going to drop the health protocols. Let's just forget about the $22 million for next year, which we could use in our economy. There's hesitancy. The goal here is to have whatever the new process is in place on November the 30th, and so they will be making decisions over the next few weeks as to what the new process will be. Will it cost $40 to get into Bermuda? We don't know. It does right now. Regardless of the health protocols, you still have to pay the $40 and have the form. We'll have to see what happens after the 25th of October. I think that one's going to be tough for cruisers to stomach. You know, it could happen in 2 ways, right? The cruise lines could just bake that into your cruise price and not even make it a line item for you, and all of a sudden your cruise is $40 more expensive. Or they can continue to require people that are going to Bermuda to go and fill out their own authorization form and pay the money themselves, which I think will be a point of contention still. What do you think? Does this make you feel good about Bermuda, bad about Bermuda? What do you think? Leave a comment below. Cruise news story number 2, an exciting announcement coming from Carnival for guests on the Carnival Pride and the Carnival Celebration in the next coming months. Greece and Spain have introduced relaxed testing requirements. This means that guests that are cruising in October and November on those 2 ships from Greece and from Spain, they no longer have to get tested. Greece and Spain, one of the last holdouts again for the testing, as long as you're fully vaccinated. Again, we're living in a world where fully vaccinated folks are not going to have to test, but unvaccinated folks will most likely have to test in every scenario. Unvaccinated folks will be able to cruise, but it will require a test. But yeah, so these were two of the holdouts. That's big news. Again, we have these little pockets of places that still have testing. Greece and Spain were big ones. With Carnival making this announcement, I'm assuming that other cruise lines that are going out of those ports will also be able to take advantage of those relaxed testing protocols. But yes, a big announcement for people cruising from Europe in the next couple months. Are you impacted? Are you going to be on that first Carnival Celebration cruise? Are you cruising on the Carnival Pride? Leave a comment below. Cruise news story number 3 takes us to New York City, where the mayor there, Eric Adams, has been talking recently about chartering a cruise ship to house immigrants that have come to the city. They say over the last few months, over 15,000 immigrants, people that have come across the border in the South, bust up from Texas. They're now in the city, and the city is struggling with its shelter system to house all of these people. What will we do? Previously, they built a tent city. They're currently working on another tent city, but this tent city, they say it costs $15 million a month to run one of these tent cities, and the cruise line is a cheaper option. Now, there's two sides to this story. Mayor Adams has hinted a little bit that they may be close with a cruise line of signing a charter deal, but he goes all the way up to the edge and he says, but I can't really say because, it would be premature to say, but there's like some hint, some gleam in his eye, and then they're hinting that it's Norwegian Cruise Line. And then Norwegian Cruise Line from their side said, look, we can't say anything because there's nothing in place. We're no comment kind of deal. So it would be interesting to see if Norwegian Cruise Line can spare a cruise ship. And I'm assuming if the city's paying $15 million a month for a tent city, then they can probably cover the cost of a cruise ship that makes it advantageous to the cruise company to take that ship out of service for one-off paying passengers. So it will be interesting to see over the next month or so if there is a ship from Norwegian Cruise Line dedicated to housing immigrants in New York City. It'll be a walk-on, walk-off process. So it's going to be like a floating hotel. This would be interesting. Like I would make the trip. I would make the trip if this happens. And I don't know if it's possible if I would have that level of access. But if this becomes a thing, I would certainly like to go see what that operation looks like. I don't know if I could or not. But yeah. Interesting times. We'll continue to watch that. Interesting solution to a challenging problem. Will it be a good solution? Will it be a bad solution? Will it be a solution at all? We have to wait and find out. Yeah, how about that? Cruise news story number 4. Let's take a moment to talk about Hurricane Ian. Hurricane Ian left the state of Florida as a tropical storm, tropical depression, and then it got undepressed and became a hurricane again, and it slammed right into South Carolina. I saw some crazy footage from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where I'd spent a little bit of time. So yeah, Ian was not done with its devastation yet, and it caused some turmoil for cruise ports up the northeast coast. Now, I'm on the Carnival website. They're the ones that have the cruise ports up there. This update was from yesterday. There's a new update coming out at noon today. We talked about it the other day. Go to the top of the Carnival page if you want to see the update. But because of Hurricane Ian, a lot of ports closed. A lot of things changed. Here's where we're at right now, and this was as of yesterday at noon. Tampa, the port is open. Jacksonville, Florida, the port is open. Port Canaveral, the port is open. Charleston, the port is open. Now, it did cause some delays for the Carnival Sunshine. The Carnival Sunshine was supposed to depart yesterday on its newest cruise. It's now going to depart today on October the 2nd with a 4-day cruise. Baltimore, the same thing. The cruise for the Carnival Legend was delayed, the 10-1 cruise, and now that will be pushed back. It looked like it was delayed, just a timing thing. So hopefully that cruise went out yesterday. I'll look at the update for tomorrow to make sure that the Legend got out. And Norfolk, Virginia, there also were delayed coming back, the Carnival Magic on 10-1. So maybe folks got on that later on in the day. But it does seem like that all the cruise ports up the northeastern seaboard there, all the way up to Norfolk, Virginia, are now open again. And then the cruise ports are open again here in Florida. There continues to be work all over Florida and now up in the Carolinas, that whole eastern seaboard recovering from Hurricane Ian. Still a lot of people without power. Our daughter is visiting this week. They live in Lakeland, Florida. They're still without power this morning. It was knocked out during the storm. So there's still a lot of people dealing with no power in Florida and in South Carolina and other places in the path of Ian. But it sounds like the cruise business is starting to get back to normal, which is good for cruisers. So we continue to be hopeful and send out positive thoughts as people are recovering from what was a deadly storm. People lost their lives in the storm. So, yeah, at least we're coming back from that. Are you out there? Are you still impacted by Ian? Are you without power? If you're seeing this somewhere else, I would love to hear how you're doing. Leave a comment below. All right, we got to transition into the story about the comedian that was fired for using a racial slur on a Carnival cruise ship. Before I get there, because we may lose some folks today, I just want to quickly invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes, and that way you don't miss out on the conversation that we are about to have. Let me give you the details as I know it. There was a passenger on a Carnival cruise ship at the adult comedy show, at the late night comedy show. The passenger in question, African-American lady, during the show, the white comedian started using the N-word. And she felt very uncomfortable about it. Other people in the audience felt very uncomfortable about it, and they called him out on it. And he basically said, if you're offended by my comedy, you can get up and leave now. And that was apparently met with a mixed reaction. Some people cheering him for his stance, and some people deriding him for his stance. The lady posted on social media this interaction. She did not record him using the N-word, but she did record him talking about if people were offended, get it out. And this thing went viral. It went viral. It made its way to the people that make the hiring and firing decisions at Carnival. And this comedian was fired for using racial slurs during the comedy show. This comedian, his name is Rob O'Reilly. He's appeared on Last Comic Standing, America's Got Talent, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. But he is not a stranger to this type of controversy. He's been in trouble before for making racially insensitive remarks in the name of comedy. So that's the news part of it, but what are my views? And I feel like since I have the opportunity to speak on this, I am going to speak on this. And again, I would hope that we can have a conversation that is not too divisive, a conversation that's not too hardcore, mean with each other. This is what I think. My whole life, I'm a white guy, and I don't think that white people should use the N-word really for any reason. That's what I think. That word was weaponized against an oppressed people for hundreds of years, and I don't think that we should use that word. I don't think that white folks should use that word. And certainly there's an acknowledgement out there that the N-word is used differently by the African-American community, by communities of people of color, and it is tolerated, it is accepted. So people will make the argument, well, if we can't say it, they can't say it. I have two problems with that argument. First, the first problem I have with it, the biggest problem that I have with it is very insensitive. It is very insensitive to the plight of people that have been oppressed in this country for hundreds of years. We just passed the Civil Rights Act in 1964, less than 60 years ago. And at that time, there were places in the United States where people of color, where black folks could not drink from the same water fountain as white folks, which is ridiculous. It is where black children could not go to the same school as white children, which is an abomination to humanity to draw that kind of line. And that's less than 60 years ago. So the N-word weaponized against that community that's been oppressed for hundreds of years. White folks, in my opinion, shouldn't say it, and we really shouldn't say how that word is used, right? So even at the highest platitude, if we want to say that word is bad and nobody should use it, but if they're going to use it, then I'm going to use it. Look, two wrongs, they don't make a right. Am I correct? Two wrongs don't make a right. Two rights made an airplane, which I think we're all better for that. And I know there's people out there that are going to be, oh, Tony, you're just being woke. Look, I've been for oppressed people my whole life before woke was even a word. But if you want to call me woke for giving a crap about people that have been disadvantaged from all walks of life, then I guess I'm going to be as woke as can be, and that's fine with me. I can't change who I am. I can't change what's on my inside, and having the social awareness to realize that some people have been disadvantaged and they continue to be disadvantaged by language and other things, yeah, I will err on the side of giving a crap about disadvantaged people, and if that puts a label on me, then so be it. And when it comes to Carnival letting this guy go, that should be no surprise. Carnival, yes, they have adult comedy. Adult comedy is where people should be able to let loose and push boundaries, that kind of thing. But I do believe that there's some boundaries that some people should not push, and it makes complete sense to me that Carnival would not tolerate that. Nobody wants to go on a cruise ship and have to navigate somebody using a word that's been so divisive in our history. It's there's diversity on cruising, and I couldn't imagine being a person of color having to go and navigate this idea of somebody just so flagrantly using that word like it didn't mean anything. So I completely understand that. At the end of the day, the thing that I'm teaching my kids is twofold. That there's a people group out there that this word was used against that have to reconcile how they use the word, and there was a people group that weaponized the word, and they should not be able to use it. That's my opinion. That's my view. Let's have that conversation below. Thank you so much for checking out the show today. It's a tough one. I'm not going to throw any punishment at the end. Just let's maybe take a moment of reflection before we start commenting. And thank you for checking out the show. If you could, hit the like button. If not, we will come back and do this again tomorrow. This is Tony for Lido, Loca. And until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido.